afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. St. Catherine Police ramping up operations to rid the parish of criminal elements. NWA prepares drawings to replace collapsed bridge in Hanover. And later in sports, Jamaica's successful team returns home from Carifta Games. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Despite a 54% reduction in murders up to the end of March in St. Catherine, the police in the South and North divisions say they'll continue their efforts to rid the parish of criminal elements, O'Shane Masters reports.
The St. Catherine Police say they will be stepping up operational activities to get things back under control in the parish, especially in Portmore. Since the start of the year, there has been an uptick in criminal activities in that parish. According to data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, up to March 31, there were 60 murders in the parish. In February and March, there were 2 brazen daylight robberies of millions of dollars from security guards of beryllium. Speaking at an awards function for members of the St. Catherine South Community Safety and Security Unit, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips says the rate of crime not only in St. Catherine and the brazenness of criminals in these times need an all-hands-on-deck approach.
I don't know if you track what's happening in the country. You know, it is worrying the things that are happening. Just for this week, I see where St. Catherine North had 2 double murders. And, you know, holding for ACP Griffiths is like I get another insight into the kind of stress level that the officers have to go through. I don't know who is tracking that. Because when you have 4 divisions calling in the morning to report their crime figures and what happened, you have to have guts to deal with some of the cause.
It's why he says he'll be seeking to further deepen the relationships between the police and the various communities within his police division. He says with such an initiative, it is bound to augur well for the safety of residents and the ability of the police to carry out well-needed operations.
It is my intention to look seriously on the CSS team, even in Old Harbour, to expand their operations down there. Because I see Corporal Graham down there trying to be Superman, to move through all those communities. It's difficult. And then when you start to be known by these communities, the demand that you can get really, really tough.
In the meantime, he's cautioning his colleagues to take care of their mental capacity, as the job they do on a daily basis is taxing.
That whilst we are giving up our best, ensure that you take care of your mental space. Your mental health is important, your physical health is important. I know you have the heart for it and you want to do good for your country, but at the same time, you have to think about that side of things.
O'Shane Masters, TV News.
The Manchester police believe they have disrupted a major car stealing ring in the parish. This follows the discovery and seizure of a car and several scrapped parts in the parish on Monday. An ad wagon, which was recently reported stolen, which was reportedly stolen in Kingston recently, was also dismantled. The police say an intelligence-led operation took them to Brokenhurst in the parish, where they made the discovery sometime after midday. No one was arrested. The police have not provided any further details, but say they are following strong leads with a view to making arrests. The Westmoreland Police is seeking the public's help in locating a person of interest in an illegal gas station operation in Grange Hill, Westmoreland. The police raided a home where the illegal fuel was being sold in Grange Hill. Head of operations for the Westmoreland Police Division, DSP Adrian Hamilton, says the team seized over 200 gallons of fuel valued at almost $2 million.
3 persons are in custody. However, one man is still who considered a person of interest. Mr. Roy Barron is still out there, and we are pursuing him. Those persons will be charged for breaches of the Petroleum Act.
DSP Hamilton is warning the public about the dangers of dealing in business of illegal gas while pointing to the safety risks associated with it.
That fuel is being distributed from a location that is unregulated and in a community such as Greenchill, where the infrastructure, the makeup of that community, mostly board houses with houses in close proximity to each other, one can only imagine that the risk that this poses for a disaster in that area.
This afternoon, the story of a young man who is trying to make a difference in a volatile community. Akeef Nugent has been trying to teach the children in Coburn Gardens to read and prepare for external exams. However, he needs their help to make this program a success. Meet 13-year-old Akeef Nugent from Coburn Gardens in St. Andrew. Akeef is a youth advisor for the Coburn Gardens community. The community is known to have criminal elements. As a result of the high level of violence Akeef has experienced, he decided to make a difference through education. In 2017, he started a program in the community teaching children to read, write, and express themselves.
For example, in the math, they got a solving equation, so they would have said, Baker have 36 mangoes, all of that. So I'm showing them and I'm teaching them how to be good readers and to bring up their communication skills.
Akeef is also a student at Excelsior High, but he says what he's doing for the 13 of his peers whom he teaches in the community does not affect his schoolwork.
When I come from school in the evening, I got my assignments. So if I got homework in the first 2 classes, I like in my lunchtime do it because I know I have things to do and things to stand out for. So in the evenings when I come now, if I have any other homework, I like finish it, and then by 3:30 to 4, classes are started.
However, he's challenged with limited resources to make his lessons more successful.
Sometimes they don't have. So what I do, sometimes them come to the classes, don't have sharpener, pencil, sometimes books and all of that. So what I have to do is to save, chum change out of my lunch money to buy it for them, because many of them parents are not that, what should I say now? Financially stable. So what I do now is to save out of my lunch money and look sponsors from different community shops in the community to help with that, and it is working but not working at the same time.
The teenager also has this to say to the gunmen in the area.
This is my word to all the criminals and the warring fractions of this corporate era, not only in my community but all above Jamaica, all around Jamaica. Please to put down the gun and allow our young youths to grow in peace, so we can make Jamaica be the place to live, work, raise family and do business. We are your next generation, teachers, doctors, lawyers, judges, all of those stuff. Please put down the gun. I am pleading to you guys.
If you would like to help Akeef Nugent, he can be reached at 876-456-8187. That's 876-456-8187. The National Road Safety Council, NRCS, is this afternoon raising concern about the number of fatalities from crashes on the nation's roadways. The Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch P-STEP data show that 8 persons were killed from motor vehicle crashes from Holy Thursday to the end of Easter Monday. According to Vice Chairman of the NRCS, Dr. Lucian Jones, the figures for the month of April are not looking good. He says with just 10 days gone gone so far this month. 17 lives have been lost from 16 crashes. The latest accident happened along the Discovery Bay Main Road involving a Toyota Corolla and a Toyota Mark X. Both vehicles were traveling in opposite directions. However, the Mark X, which was traveling towards Montego Bay, failed to keep left and collided with a Toyota Corolla. It's understood that the occupants of both vehicles were taken to hospital, where a female passenger from the Toyota Corolla was pronounced dead. In a bid to address the carnage on the nation's roadway, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has called a meeting of the Road Safety Council for next Thursday, April 20. The National Works Agency is preparing drawings for the replacement of the collapsed Hillsbrook Bridge in Hanover. The bridge, which serves the communities of Flower Hill, Hillsbrook and Woodsville and surrounding areas, collapsed on the weekend. NWA's communications manager Stephen Shaw says the draft drawings will be sent to the municipal corporation for review with the hope of getting funding for the replacement.
We have been working on a design where this solution is going to be presented to the municipality and or the Ministry of Local Government for them to come up with whatever the solution in terms of financing.
The bridge has been the subject of controversy, with both the Hanover Municipal Corporation and the NWA pointing finger at the other as being responsible for maintenance. Speaking on Power 106 Morning Agenda this morning, Mr. Shaw says the bridge was located on a minor road and so it falls under the responsibility of the corporation.
It's very funny how quickly a road in this case can become an orphan on account of the parish council, because they tend to clamor for everything. But in this case, that's not what is being said. But factually, it is a municipal corporation road. We are responsible for bridges on the main road network. We act as technical advisors to the municipalities as it relates to structures such as this one, and that is where we are at. Should we be given a directive and the funding, more importantly, to execute works in this particular space, I'm sure the CEO will not object.
It's time for the Business Minute.
The private sector is urging the government to share a timeline for the build-out of Jamaica as a logistics hub. President of the private sector organization of Jamaica, Metri Siaga, says the country is set to benefit from the establishment of the logistics facility. However, there needs to be swift and collaborative movement of its implementation.
The PSOJ would like to see the government commit to a clear roadmap and timeline for the further build-out of the Logistics Hub initiative and a framework for policy and regulatory reform, including customs modernization and business facilitation. To this end, the private sector is eager to collaborate with the government to bring the logistics-centered economy to fruition.
Mr. Siaga says legislative and systemic issues pose a risk to the industry. Further afield, a new Federal Reserve survey has revealed that U.S. consumers are starting to feel credit is getting more difficult to access. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York began conducting its survey of consumer expectations in 2013. The number of respondents who said it's harder to obtain credit compared to 1 year ago climbed to the highest level in the survey's history. Consumers' year-ahead inflation expectations also increased for the first time since October. That marked the largest jump in one-year inflation expectations since March of last year. However, long-term inflation expectations decreased when looking at 3- and 5-year horizons. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
And here's Sandy Williams with the top regional and international stories.
In regional news, Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry has described the murders of 3 police officers in the capital as barbaric. It's reported that a 7-strong police patrol was attacked on Sunday by gang members in southeast of Port-au-Prince when the officers were killed. Prime Minister Henry lamented that lawless thugs continue to spread terror in a country so damaged and mourned. He reiterated his determination to do everything possible to create a climate of security and stability and committed to creating a lasting solution. On the international scene, more than 11 million Ukrainian refugees have fled to Poland since Russia invaded in February 2022. Around 87% of those crossing the border are women and children. At the beginning of April, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees reported that just over 10.6 million people had crossed the border. This means that nearly 400,000 people have traveled from Ukraine to Poland in the last week. News further afield, the Italian Coast Guard launched rescue operations on Friday to save hundreds of migrants packed aboard several boats off the toe of Italy, less than 2 weeks after at least 73 drowned in a shipwreck.
Separate boats. One boat with over 800 people on it and a second boat with around 400 people on it are being escorted to the Italian island of Sicily and the Italian mainland. They're expected to arrive sometime Wednesday morning. Separately, more than 1,700 people arrived on the tiny Sicilian island of Lampedusa. Most of those people arrived in boats from Tunisia over the course of the weekend. The Italian Interior Ministry says that so far this year, more than 28,000 people have arrived by boat, putting pressure on the Italian government.
And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
Thank you, Sandy. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.